and welcome to episode 4 of the Queerly Biz podcast. I'm Kerry King from Rainbow Assured, and today we have...
Adam Thacker from Sustained Innovation.
Hurrah! Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
You didn't have an awful lot of choice, did you?
No, there was a gun involved.
So, now, what is it that... Oh, hang on, let's clarify first. Cishet? You're looking very confused. Okay. Do you identify as the gender that you were assigned at birth?
Yes.
That makes you cis.
Thank you.
Are you heterosexual?
I am indeed.
There we go. Cis-het.
Fine. I actually thought you were sneezing originally.
Right.
You
so
always educate me. This is where we have a conversation. I always learn something new.
There's some terminology for you as a learning experience.
Yeah,
Every
we're
day
all
is a
about
school
that.
day. So, Adam, what do you do?
So I help businesses look at how they do what they do. So essentially, a lot of, especially small and medium businesses, they grow quite quickly. They've got 1 or 2 employees who have to do what in big business would be 57 employees' jobs. It's very difficult to do all of those together.
Mm-hmm.
So I just help them look at what they do and simplify what they do and put in some systems and make sure they're treating their people right, because that's where we got to meet each other, because fundamentally if you treat the people wrong, they won't be productive. It is that simple.
Yes. Now, Adam, you were just saying a minute ago about a phrase called the intimate game. No, not the intimate game.
The intimate game is something adults play. It involves special hugs. No.
What did you say it was, and what is
The
it?
infinite game.
Right, and what is that?
So the infinite game is the way that businesses actually look at what they do and how they do it. So essentially, a lot of businesses follow a Friedman model, which is essentially a business's fundamental duty and what it should do is just to make money, no matter what. And over the years, since the 1960s models started coming out, the average life expectancy of a business has decreased. Mm-hmm. It's gone from 60 years to about 18 years on average.
Wow.
Also, every year, customer satisfaction's gone down, employee satisfaction's gone down constantly since these models were introduced, because everyone's trying to really, really pinch those pennies. Mm-hmm. Okay, and the more you pinch the pennies, the more you end up dissatisfying your staff. The more they get happy, the more they leave. When someone leaves, we've spoken about this before, it's difficult to replace them. It costs the business money, etc. So what the infinite game sort of talks about is actually really looking at how your business does what it does, and rather than basing your business on like individual metrics. It's not to say you shouldn't have OKRs or KPIs and that sort of thing, but rather than your business saying, we are here to make 1 million quid, or we are here to make this ship, or we are here to do this one thing, that's an achievable goal. So like when I set up my business, my goal is actually I want to help small businesses, but I want to make every small business be able to function the best it can, and I'm never going to do that. But if I keep striving towards it, my business will keep growing.
Yes.
So if businesses turn around and say our objective is to make £1 million, they'll make arbitrary decisions to reduce costs to make £1 million. Whereas if they actually say our ambition is to be in this game as long as possible, we want to make sure we want to cure all hunger. Charities are great at this. Alzheimer's, we want to cure Alzheimer's. That's great. They may get there, they may not, but they're going to keep working to do it.
Going, yeah.
And so there are big companies out there that do this, but a lot of companies don't do this, so they don't grow and don't evolve.
Right. Now, when you said infinite game, I thought you said the infinite gay, which sounded much more up my alley, as it very much were. Now, so that's not a thing, is it? Maybe it should be.
You could start it. Rainbow Assured could be the ones that lead the way. And to be honest,
the infinite gay.
And without going straight into solution mode, which you know what I sort of do, is it could be an offshoot for... so we speak about the right environment for people to feel happy and comfortable to be able to work. And as much as that is nice for the squishy human side to people feel comfortable...
I like squishy humans.
Squishy humans. Humans do squishy great. It's what we do.
Yes.
The actual main reason is a business. If I go to a business and say, hey, this is going to be really good for your employees, they're going to go like, okay. If I turn around and say, do you want to save some money?
Yeah.
So the infinite game could be getting your policies and your procedures right towards that particular demographic, leading that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking to someone yesterday, talking to Lobster Rob yesterday, and I'd said that I know that businesses need what I'm doing, but I am struggling at the moment to tell them that because a lot of people are looking at me and going, well, I'm not gay, so I don't need it. And I don't feel that I have anyone in that community in my workforce. You probably do, but you just don't know it.
Yes.
But it's not relevant to me. And I know that it is relevant to them. I know that it's relevant to their customers and their future customers. But at the moment, I'm sort of getting Lobster Rob to help me in as much as he can write the words.
He's very good at emotive words and putting that side
can
right.
tell people the information that I need them to know, and putting it in a way that they can understand that it is right for their business in order to make sure that their diversity, equity and inclusion policies are not only bang up to date but proactive. And I need to get that across, and that's something at the moment that I'm not very good at. But I'm working on it as well as everything else.
Yeah, so there's kind of oddly, even though everyone speaks, English, Chinese, whatever language, we're all speaking that, but in the terms of business language, they tend to speak in the figures.
Yes.
So one of the things I've always kind of tried to do is so for me, I work on, like I said, I've got two structures to my business that to me are the two pillars, rather. I've got Kaizen and Infinite Gain. They're the two things that lead how I move my business forward and how I make it.
What was the first one?
Kaizen.
I don't know what that is either.
I'm going to give it I won't do it justice, but as a very quick explanation, it's essentially constantly looking to improve and doing it one step at a time in small, manageable chunks.
Right, okay.
Rather than trying to go big bang or waiting 6 years or not doing it. It's just every day you're looking, how can I do this a bit better? How can I do this a bit better? How can I do this a bit better?
Right.
So those are two structures I try to run when I work with businesses. Okay. And yes, so when we're talking to companies, we quite often talk about data, and their biggest thing they're going to look at is their profit, whether it be EBITDA, gross, net, revenue, whatever they're looking at, they're the things they're going to be talking about. And you can offer the emotive side, so it really is down to kind of like business side from my perspective. So one of the reasons I actually chose, so I've worked with large companies, I've worked in big organisations, we've had that conversation, and it's all about, well, you want 4% on this, you need 2% on that, 4% on this is a share rate of 3%, blah, blah. They all talk about these really random stats and figures, and that's what they go to because they've got to go to the board to justify this. Medium-sized businesses, smaller businesses, because they tend to be owned by the people in the business, it's much more emotive.
Yes.
It's much more, so like when I go into them, it's like, do you actually want time to go on holiday? Do you actually want to be able to actually, like, if you got offered a round the world cruise for a year, you're in the position where you can say yes or no right now.
Yeah.
So it's that sort of thing. And obviously I can't give you the answer to your side of that side, but people don't realise the amount of things like, do you want your staff to be happy? Do you want to walk into a nice environment? Like, what do you want your people to be? We know that there are people that aren't out because they don't feel the environment's are. We were talking earlier before we started recording about how the government stats on percentage don't seem right anyway. They seem low, but the CIPD stats are even low, which means people are prepared to tell the government something they won't tell their employer.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that sort of side.
I guess the difference obviously is that you can tell the government. I know there's a lot of people who don't like telling the government things, but you can tell the government something, and because they don't know you personally and they don't have to deal with you on a day-to-day basis, it's easier to tell the government. Whereas telling your employer, who you go to work with on a daily basis and kind of holds the key to your financial security, is a lot harder.
It is, yeah, and the real world knock-on effect of that for not having the right environment is that can actually, the squishy side, it's not the greatest place to be. Those people don't feel happy, they move on, they don't feel fulfilled in their day, and no one wants to go home and not enjoy their day.
Now tell me that stat again that I love, and I keep saying, oh, Ad's told me this great stat the other day. Tell me the stat again. I actually
tend to lowball, but actually is probably higher.
Yes, that one. Yeah. Tell me that.
So the minute an employee leaves your business, it's probably going to cost it 25 grand. The CIPD, say about £30,000. This is the cost of losing that person. Some people, especially if you're looking at jobs that are really, really like niche, like engineers and those sorts of things, those specialist sort of job roles, or in very senior management positions, so maybe not board members, just one or two down, like proper ops managers, they take a while to replace. So they can be as high as 50 grand, if not more. And the reason that works out that way is because the minute someone's leaving, the admin paperwork is going to cost you about 300 quid. You're going to have to use a recruitment agent to get someone new in, so that's going to cost you 3 grand. You're going to have work which is not going to be done while that person's gone, because it's very easy to leave a company. So we've all probably worked in places where someone's left and their replacement doesn't come in for another couple of months. So you're going to have a gap of downtime when that person's not working. When the new person does come in, they need to be trained. So you've got all the resource of your training and L&D department to go on top of that, as well as when they do enter any team, they've got to have support from the teammates. So then not only are they not hitting the productivity levels for another 6 to 18 months, depending on the nature of the job role, you've then got the people supporting them to get up to standard. They're not doing as much work as possible. And there is also a whole load of other squidgy data around the side of that. Things like if a popular member of your team leaves, another employee is 40% more likely to leave.
Wow. If you left me, I'd leave. Cal, if you left me, I'd leave too. I'm just going to follow you guys down the road.
Yeah, just end up on a safari or something. Yeah, and off the back of that, because obviously we talk a lot about data, because I'm one of those geeky guys like that.
You are.
A lot of that leads on. The problem is the cures are really simple. That's the problem. Like the CIPD have done a whole number of surveys on this. So have Harvard University, Oxford University. So many people have done studies on this that you could pull figures from anywhere on it. It's basically it's really obvious what they need to do. And the main reason for it leave their job is things like, they've got the classic ones like money. It's that sort of simple thing. Am I being paid a reason for what I'm doing? But actually a lot of them would surprise you. One is like, am I comfortable? Do I feel rewarded? Do I like my environment? Those sorts of things. Are they actually developing me and treating me fairly, like give me a career option, a path? And if you're not treating people fairly, so you haven't got your correct policies in place, especially around LGBTQ plus and all that sort of stuff, then there's a more chance that person's going to leave. So then when you start sticking it, so it's like the data's obvious, but for some reason people can't at the moment seem to associate. Here's the data that says people are leaving. Here's the data that says why people are leaving. We know that good environments will do it, and we know that there's different areas for different people around different challenges people face. But we know that there's a large percentage of the people are in the LGBTQ plus community, but for some reason everyone does the rainbow washings we've discussed. It's like, we'll talk to you during 1 month, the rest of the month,
yeah. So one of the things I talk about quite a lot when I do public speaking is rainbow washing, and for anyone that's not aware what that is, it's when companies change their logo in June and they gear all their marketing towards the gay community, and they say, oh, we're really supportive of you and come and buy all our rainbow coloured shit, and they sell. And they make our community believe that they have our interests at heart and that they actually care about us all year round, when in fact that is not the case, very much not the case. And then when the 1st of July comes, they're like, okay, now on to the next good cause.
Yeah, because the thing that always gets me of that is when, like, I don't want to call anyone big out, but Mercedes, for example, their British channel will be like pride flag, blah, 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 all this stuff. But then you go look at their channels aimed at other audiences globally. Not even a mention of it. It's like,
really?
And one of the things that I've always sort of believed in personally, and I actually think there is evidence behind this business, is you have to be honest and say what you do. And as much as I actually hate the business to some degree, Apple are very good at saying, this is what we do, this is what we are. If you don't like it, go away. Red Bull are very similar. This is our brand. Don't like it, don't buy us. So that's all. They're PR companies. They're not rude about it, if that makes sense. But they are who they are. They don't pretend to be otherwise.
Yes.
So if they're sitting there saying, we're this big company and we're not, it's a really fake comment, to the point that I can't remember if I told you a stat or not, but this is a brilliant one. Because I was as soon as we started talking, I was like, I'm going to get every stat possible and I'm going to stay.
And that is what you said to me, and you did send me some.
Yeah. And essentially what it was is the target demographic for a lot of companies is 18 to 34. It's a real big target demographic. And actually they're starting to really clock on to that fake support. That if a company gets their advertising wrong, it can have really serious effects. So 64% of 18 to 34 demographic, if they think you're trying to be LGBTQ plus in a false way, they won't actually buy your product. Gillette lost a metric ton of money through getting they had a transgender advert, if I remember, where it was around shaving. It came across completely terribly. And that physically cost them money on the bottom line. Yeah. Because people stopped buying their product.
I've got a feeling Budweiser did something similar, or
I would not be surprised.
They used a
That was the exact opposite. They did it in a very good way.
And then they backed away from it.
But they've backed away from it in the end when a load of alt-right nasty people started boycotting them.
That's right. Yes, and then they backed up and went, oh yeah, we won't do that after all.
There's a bit of a tragedy in that, in the sense of, one, it's bad that because the problem is the minute they backtrack, they lost the support of both communities, because one's never going to forgive, and when you back away, both are never going to forgive. Yeah. The other real world thing is the world is moving, evolving, and growing, and I look at, in kind of a happy way without going too much to the rainbow side of things. My nephew is way more accepting this stuff than I remember when I was at school, or what I feel my parents were to sort of some degree. So it's really great to do. So all they're doing is damaging their business by aiming at an old dying demographic that isn't getting with the time, because they're worried about a few people moaning for a 5% market share. Whereas actually, if they go for that 5% market share, they can alienate a whole people, which is going to cost them 20% of their market share in the future, because they've backed the wrong horse.
Which is a very good way of looking at it. Well done, Adam.
That
like sounded a lot more patronising than I meant it.
Yeah, you can rub my belly the minute I'll jig my leg, because it sounded like I was a puppy. Fuss.
Now let's have a stat. Look, I've got some at-work stats. This is taken from the LGBT in Britain work survey in 2018. By the by, the last work survey I can find that was done in the UK was in 2018, and at Rainbow Shore we want to make sure that we're taking regular up-to-date surveys so that we can give our employers and our businesses the accurate information of where they actually stand, and where they, where we are at the moment as opposed to where we were 6 years ago. But so with more than a third of LGBT staff, 35%, have hidden that they are LGBT at work for fear of discrimination. That's shit.
That's hideous. Let's look at it this way. Most people will have 1,000 business connections, but most people, even if you look at their friend group, is going to have 10 to 20 people in it. Mm-hmm. Everyone or every other person will know someone that feels that way. And your group of friends, you want them all to be happy. Yeah. And from a business sense of view, I think the average company employee size is about between 15 and 18 employees per business when you take every business into consideration. Mm-hmm. So 1 in 2 businesses has someone that doesn't feel supported.
That sucks, doesn't it?
It does suck.
It really sucks. Almost 2 in 5 bi people, 38%, aren't out to anyone at work about their sexual orientation, compared to 7% of gay men and 4% of lesbians. So basically the lesbians are quite happy to say, I'm a lesbian. Now, I, as I said in the first one, I often say to people I'm a lesbian, even though I'm not, just because it makes people uncomfortable, and I quite frankly enjoy those discussions. I love seeing the look of panic across their face, and they're like, I don't know how to get out of this conversation.
Can I talk about certain things? Oh, how do I do it? Oh,
I know, and then suddenly they're worried about making certain jokes, or really quite easygoing.
That's the thing. I must admit, I do sometimes go into panic mode and think, how do I talk? What do I say? But then I kind of just learn, just go in with a level. If someone says, look, that's not quite right, just apologise, etc. Because we've had this conversation before. It's not about me, it's about you. And I don't mean you specifically. It's like...
It's me. It's
that thing. It's like...
It's all about me.
It doesn't affect my life in any way, shape or form, how you feel, what you are and what you do. Yeah. And that's, well, we're not going to go on to different politics now, because we'll be here for years and we'll never fix it. Not. But... it doesn't affect me in any way. But the thing I've got to be open to is if you want to be called something and I've said it wrong, and you just go, and providing you don't, you do it like, I'm really sorry, we prefer this term. Yeah. Like, we spoke about the word queer recently. Yes. How I was a bit like, oh, can I say that? Is that right? Is it what? And you said actually, and you then gave me a bit of guidance on when the right time to use it, when it applies. Like, we talk about it as a community. We don't talk, you tend not to call someone, and actually it's a bit one of those things that you've taken back that you can call it, but I can't necessarily use it, sort of thing. It's all about the right situation, right sort of time to apply the word, sort of thing. So it can be. It can,
I guess it can be a bit of a minefield, but also you've gone about it really the right way, which is that you've just asked and gone, I wasn't sure, so I asked you, and you were able to give me some advice, and now I know. Yeah. I mean, literally, that's all it's about, really, is that I can give people the knowledge. We have training courses, and so our first one is going to be at the end of November. And I can tell you the stuff that you need to know that perhaps you didn't know before, but actually all I want from people is just to be a little bit kinder.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that people have a little bit of bit of fear, and it's actually fear from a good place. They don't want to offend. They don't. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying everyone. We know there are people that are
assholes.
Yeah. So a lot of the time they don't want to offend. So sometimes what they do is they do the ultra British thing of just go, let's just repress. Let's not do anything here. We'll use. And all of a sudden, they're speaking the Queen's English like you would learn if you were coming from a foreign country. No one talks like that. No one says, oh, good morning, I would like to have a cup of tea. No one says that. It's like, morning, cup of tea. it's not how he speaks, not how he acts. They go really British like that, don't they? And it's just making sure that actually they're comfortable to have this conversation. So it's a bit of naivety, and some of it's unknown. Like when you spoke to me right at the very start, you said that because you said it so quickly. I'm like, so and I know what cis is. Like, oh yeah, okay. The other bit I didn't know, but then you just think like this is like, oh yeah, and it's because to me that's not commonplace in my work environment. I talk, and if that's right or wrong, please correct me. You know that side far better than I do. But I mentioned, can I go away today or tomorrow? Someone laughs at me and go, oh yeah, I'm.
Yeah. You don't know what you don't know. Ultimately,
Exactly.
I know it's a bit of a Norfolk phrase, but it's true. And ultimately, what you don't know, I'm happy to tell you. And the same works back for me. I mean, there's so little I know about business in comparison to you. And I say, oh, I don't know what that means. And you tell me. This is how we help each other out. But this is the reason. I mean, so Adam being a cishet guy might not be kind of an obvious choice for a queer podcast. But you are for me, because the whole point of Queerly Biz and Rainbow Assured is that we make the most of the ally community to make sure that people understand that this is something that is needed and wanted and is about making our businesses better and our people happier. And that's what you do as well. And I think the idea is if we can combine kind of what we do, both of our strengths, then we should end up with an entire army of really happy working people.
Yeah. And the good sense of that is that's not just without going down too much of a shoot, but a lot of these things is the domino effect. Whenever I tend to describe things about dominoes falling in place and one thing leads to another, and it's that Kaizen approach. And
I like this.
Sorry. And so, like, if you get your policies right, that person feels happy in their work environment. That business environment starts to succeed because everything's happy, everything's better. So therefore, if you're happy, you tend to be a bit happy in your own life. So their kids, their wife, their family, their partner, whoever is in their life tends to be a bit happier. That can have that rock-on effect. Also, because the business is successful, they will probably get the financial reward for it. They spend more. So if more businesses do that, you end up with a happier country, with people investing their money, with a stronger economy. I'm not saying happy people will change the country. If that's the sense, it's a very complex situation. But if everyone starts to try, it's that the butterfly effect, the dominoes falling. The more it happens, the more it exacerbates, and in the future, it will be there. It will get there, and maybe it won't. But as long as we keep trying,
yeah, absolutely. My auntie talks a lot about the ripple effect, in a similar sort of vein, where it only has to take one small drop in the pond that sends out these fantastic ripples all the way to the edge of the surface.
I don't know if any of you remember, but there used to be the Karmarami, which was started by Danny Wallace, and he used to have he used to do his random act of kindness, and he always did. And there was also the film Pay It Forward about it, wasn't it? Which is basically, if someone does something nice for you, don't do something back. Just go and do it to someone else. Just help someone else. Pay it forward. Do that sort of thing. So if someone I'm happy to give you advice and talk to you about stuff because I know that. Well, to quote him, Mr. Gordon. We all love Mr. Gordon.
We love Mr. Gordon.
Anderson, for people who don't know him. Mr. Gordon, he's happily helped me out. And I know that he's probably had someone good look after him. And if everyone keeps paying it forward, it just gets a better place.
Yeah. Yeah. Bless him. Cal keeps answering the phone to me when he probably thinks, oh, gosh, she's ringing me again. At what point do I just say no? But he does keep answering the phone. It's fine. He described me as his gay bestie the other day. So that was nice.
Guesty.
Guesty query. I decided that there was a lot of queer weirdness going on, and therefore it should always be known as queerness.
Love it. I love it.
My language has been getting a lot weirder recently. I like Lobster Rob. So Rob Lowton works he is at Lobster Copy. He's a copywriter. So I've just realised I've mentioned him a couple of times. I just want to point out he doesn't work in like a lobster shack or something.
He just works with pots on the seaside, just getting those lobsters.
No, fabulous guy. I asked him. He was my first port call this morning going, someone's cancelled on my podcast. Do you want to come in?
That hurt.
Yeah, sorry about that. But he's a bit more gay than you.
Because he's got long locks.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's a bit camp, and he's in a bromance with Cal. So
if I would just started hitting some stereotypes here, you'd invite me more often.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
okay,
you can definitely come back. That's not a problem. So let's have another stat. Have you got another stat for me?
I can dig one out for you, probably. Yeah.
Cal, have you got a stat? Cal wasn't prepared for a stat.
49.3% of all statistics are made up on the spot.
It's a very good stat. We like that one. Come on, Ad, give us a stat.
Can I point out to the viewers that Adam is looking on ChatGPT for the stats?
It's because I use it as a study aid. I pull it from sources and double check the sources. So yes, you can point it out. Here you go. Dissatisfaction. This one is by WeForm. Pulled this stat. I haven't had a chance to double check it, but dissatisfaction with jobs is up to 65% of people reporting change has driven by discriminatory experiences.
Wow.
So when they're making changes, they feel they're targeting certain people.
Oh.
That sort of side.
Interesting.
But
I have a stat here as well. 70 countries criminalise same-sex relationships.
I didn't know it was that percentage, but I knew it is.
No, it's not a percentage. 70.
Oh.
70 countries.
Yeah,
70 countries.
How many countries are there? 206, 260?
Oh,
I can't remember.
I don't know.
Still a high percentage, don't get me wrong.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah.
I didn't know these things.
Yeah. Is it 206 or 260 countries? Can you do that check for me? Oh, it's 200 and something.
Oh, leave it with me.
But yeah, that's high, and that's worrying as well, because the problem is as well, some of the countries that have those have very high population.
Yeah. A quarter of the world's population believes that being LGBT should be a crime. It's a bit
I'm going
to
to flat out call it that's wrong. Is it not the stats wrong? The people are wrong.
Yes, the people are wrong. Yes, you're wrong. Not us. We're right.
Of course we're right. I'm
All
always
the
right.
time. Cal's trying to get signal. We're going about things the old-fashioned way by holding things up in the air and waving them around. The death penalty for same-sex relationships is either allowed or evidence of its existence occurs in 11 of those 70 countries.
Yeah.
There are 195 countries.
195 countries.
I knew
in
it was
the
around
world.
200.
You were miles out.
I said 206 or 260.
Oh, I thought you said 260.
Or 206.
The phone says, if the phone says it, then the phone is obviously...
Yeah, there is 195 countries.
Does that include crowned independencies and small and micro
Which
states?
includes 193 member states and 2 non-member observer states, the Holy Vatican City and the State of Palestine.
Oh, there's a great stat about the Vatican City.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, go on then.
The ratio of popes, because it's less than a square mile, is there's one pope, but per square mile there's like 1.4 popes.
Is it like Pope on a rope?
Pope on a rope. Pope on us.
So many Pope jokes. Yeah, so in a way of how Rainbow Assured could potentially help these kind of stats.
Yeah.
So some of the things, you know a little bit about what we do, but let me just tell you some more, because every day's a school day. So one of the things that we offer of the training courses is the Respect and Protect module. As I was saying in the last podcast episode, I do believe that a lot of discrimination is based around fear and fear of the unknown and misunderstanding and worry about getting it wrong, and therefore they just kind of avoid the whole thing. And the most business people I've spoken to have all said, I'm worried about getting it wrong. So that's one of the things that we actually target in the training. We have an entire section called Getting It Wrong, because I feel that is probably where we will kind of sweep up most of the people who are worried.
Yeah, I think there's also a key thing in the delivery itself, because one of the work environments I came from, whenever we would say there was diversity training or something, they'd go like, oh. And they go, oh, again. And it wasn't actually because they had anything against the people or what was going on. It was the fact that they were doing some variation of diversity training every other day.
So am I a fun trainer, Adam? This is the question.
You are a fun trainer, but it's also...
No, don't. It's not also. I just am a fun trainer. Can we... that?
She is a very fun trainer. There is not a gun to my head, I promise. But it's around that side. But it's also, I think sometimes they expect unrealistic expectations from people.
Okay.
So there's a few things I always remember and kind of believe and stuff like that. So when you work in a business, there's going to be sometimes hundreds, if not thousands, of employees. Mm-hmm. Okay. Not all of them are going to be your kind of person. Mm-hmm. I don't mean your kind of person like you've got a disbelief in that. Like, I don't sound funny. There's certain people that I think, that'd be great. Go for a pub, you'll get to know you. Even in the business world, certain people really like you. Like, we've connected, so we catch up all the time. Mm-hmm. I've met hundreds of people in networking events over the last 6 months. I don't catch up with all. I don't speak to them because either a business don't match or they're not someone I want to go for a pint with. Mm-hmm. So you're going to have people you do and you don't like. And
Yeah.
so the way I've always remembered it is that saying about the peach, that you can be the tastiest, juiciest, most ripe peach on the planet, but some people just don't like peaches. It's
I like
simple.
that.
And the thing is, as well, is I think the way that you've delivered your training is like, look, you don't have to like the person, and you can not like whoever the hell you don't want to like, but you just can't say I don't like you because you're gay,
Yeah.
trans, whatever the reason might be. It's just like you like them if they're a twat or not.
Yeah.
It's like, are you a twat? Yes.
Ultimately, for me, I believe that the LGBTQ policies in workplaces should be as important, if equal to the fire safety policies and the manual handling policies. You don't go, oh, I'm going to go and meet over there when there's a fire because I want to. No, you'll go where your company tells you to. And in the same way, if your company says you can't be horrible to this person because they're gay, you don't do it. You know, like I say, you can like who you want when you go out of work. I mean, I'm hoping that by teaching people that we will get to the point where they feel that their acceptance and open-mindedness then spreads outside of the workplace as well. But if nothing else, Rainbow Assured is here to try and make sure that allyship exists within the workplace, and that we just do a better job, because quite frankly, I don't think we're doing that great a job at the moment.
No, and I will be honest, I think there's a really, really good, strong business place for you to exist, because companies year on year tend to de-invest in some of their internal L&D departments. Mm-hmm. And also, if you think about it logically, like, you don't get a plumber to build your brick wall. You don't get an electrician to try and lay your pipes for your plumbing.
That's where I've gone wrong.
So when you look at a business, having someone who's not well versed in LGBTQ plus trying to deliver training, it's not going to be necessary to the standard it can be, because they don't have the passion, they don't have the drive, they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the skill set, they don't have that sort of thing. So if you've got someone who can teach, they're immersed in the subject and know it, they're going to do a far better job of delivering it, and probably more cost effectively through a subcontracted basis than trying to get the one person who's trying to tell them how to leave the building during a fire, how they should be selling their product from L&D, as well as how they should be treating people in the business. Yeah. So it makes sense to get the right people in to do the right job.
Yes, and that would be me, and that would be you for sustained innovation. I love what your company does, and but even more so, I think that the message that you provide as an inclusive company is bloody awesome, and you are a squishy fact of loveliness. So thank you very much for coming along, Adam. Thank you. Yes, well, I can't promise you'll be back, but you might be. Who knows? I'll bring you with lobster up next time.
Yeah, a bit more timing so I can prep a bit more.
All right then, I suppose so. So anyway, thank you so much. That was episode 4 of Queerly Biz from Kerry King and
Adam Thacker.
Thank you very much. See you again.